Hey guys, King of Charmanders here, and today I bring to you the best Critical Ferocity Driftsmelt meta build, the Raw Power 5 of Season 7, as we analyze the new possible Critical Ferocity Driftsmelt build thanks to the Driftsmelt Rework. Thanks to the Driftsmelt Rework, we now have raw power that can be smelted. This is on the Crimson Driftstone, but was not expecting anything like this. The Driftsmelt Rework itself was just this incredibly new, it was incredible. They put all exclusive skills possible on every single Driftstone, and the kilometers and everything, it was just such a masterful rework. And because of this, this creates a brand new meta build for negative crit. So now we have something to where you can get Raw Power 5 and Critical Ferocity 5. So now that's possible. We have a brand new meta build ready and waiting to be smelted and used. And just like you saw in that snapshot, I was lucky enough to actually get raw power on my Basil Juice Van Braces. I was just like, let me just give it a shot. This was the first free Crimson Driftstone that I actually had. And I just free smelted it. I was having lunch and it popped and I was like, oh hey, look, it's going off. And then I saw raw power. I tried to contain my excitement because teachers were around me and I was like, okay, I don't want to look at them really, they're going to look at me and I'll be like, why does he look so excited? I'm like, okay, they would never get it because, Monster Hunter now. And you know why I'm excited? Because the build we're looking at requires the following skills. You just need one raw power Driftsmelt from the Crimson Driftstone. We got that, or I got that. So hopefully you're as lucky as I am. You also need 4 burst Driftstones, which are the amber ones. And the Driftsmelt slots for each of these exclusive skills are 2.5%. I think it actually got worse. I believe the last ones were at least over 3% or something like that. But yeah, now you have 4 different ones for each stone, and it is much worse to get what you want because of the pool. With that being said, here's my usual disclaimer when it comes to drift smelting. Drift smelting is incredibly time-consuming and resource-heavy. Be sure you're following incredible resources when smelting anything. Do not follow someone that tells you with the heavy bow and to put coalescence on it because it's absolutely terrible and totally not worth it. What you should be doing is making sure you pop it in, you look at a lot of different things, and not look at coalescence because coalescence was an outdated meta thing. Instead, you should be looking at something like this that you've actually put together, actually looks really good, and you have different options and different methods to where you can actually make things work. Or just listen to someone that has the gold medal for it, like I do, and like other people do, and have very meta full Driftsmelt builds. And this brings us to the Critical Ferocity Driftsmelt build data comparison. Data is king as we compare data from Critical Ferocity builds. So the top one you see right here, for Brute Tigrex, your negative crit will raise to 70% thanks to raw power. As you see, the difference between 5 and 4 is 5%, which isn't a lot, but what the big thing that's affected here is consistency. Although you do slightly less damage than Burst 5, as you see, Burst 5 was actually the old one, and it's actually 1% over. However, your consistency is much better to proc Critical Ferocity, so overall, this will actually do more damage than the Burst one if you manage to proc Critical Ferocity, which at 70% is consistent. That 70% to 100 is basically the standard you're looking for. And this makes the Raw Power 5 and Critical Ferocity 5 the strongest and most consistent build. So even though on average, yes, if you don't take the fact that you get more lucky with getting those increased 225% hits, the 70% will be consistent and the damage boost you get is consistent. So this is actually better than Burst 5. And behold, this is the Driftsmelt build. This build requires, again, 1 raw power and 4 burst Driftsmelts. This will allow you to max out both raw power 5 and Critical Ferocity 5, which is key for any builds, especially for negative crit builds that take advantage of Critical Ferocity, but 70% is the standard, for which Brute Tigrex are the most powerful weapon types in terms of raw melee weapons in the game so far, and second overall only to 2 specific things, the Black Diablo's Bow and the Mr. Beast Sword and Shield. So Black Diablo's Bow and Mr. Sword and Shield are actually far more powerful. Well, not far more powerful. Mr. Beast Sword and Shield is stronger than Brute Tigrex just because of its mechanic with its skill, and Black Diablo's Bow is the Black Diablo's Bow. Of course, those 2 are extremely powerful. And again, unless it's these 2, Brute Tigrex weapons are kings of raw. And the 70%, I keep saying consistency because in order for a build to be good, it needs to be consistent, and it needs to be really consistent and have high damage. With this 70%, it allows your build to be consistent and proc Critical Ferocity's negative affinity damage increase. It's not like something like Coalescence, where you have to, with Blood Cloak, where you have to pop an entire clip and then special skill. If you have to do all of that, is it consistent? No. You're using so much just to get something off. It's dumb. It's ridiculous. You shouldn't do it. It's not consistent. It doesn't make any sense. But if you want to use this build, which totally makes complete sense, you need the Glavenus helmet at grade 8, the Glavenus mail at grade 8, Betelgeuse jam braces at grade 8, Tigrex coil at grade 8, and the Arzos greaves at grade 8. Hopefully this helps you decide whether or not you want to go for this new Driftsmelt meta build for critical ferocity. The thing is, if you already had the Burst 5 build, which is the old meta one smelted in the armor, you don't really need this one unless you want to. But if you want to see those sweet big numbers, and the factually, like, they're really good if you actually proc the 225 a lot during a battle, and there's a high chance of you to, because 70% is factually very high, it's definitely something to look forward to. With that being said, please do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, and comment for the YouTube algorithm. As you see right here, I grinded my bananas for the Brute Tigrex weapons. So now I have the lance and the sword and the longsword as well as the bow. So I'm definitely having such a blast using these, and it's actually super awesome to be able to pull all of these off. And just, these are all maxed out. So I'm actually super stoked to continue to use this build for these two weapons and just see all those big numbers. Good luck on your grinds. Good luck on our Driftsmelts. I wish you the best of luck on those especially. And I will see y'all on the next video.